We had spotted a Japanese plane, and we dove, and the plane came in on our wake. Our bow was about 80 feet under the water, and our stern was about 20 feet under the water, and the Japanese Zero came in, dropped a bomb that lit between the maneuvering room and the after torpedo room, and just blew us to kingdom come. And we headed to the bottom immediately, and somebody said, well, how deep is the water here? And they said 267 feet. And we went directly to the bottom, with water pouring in that maneuvering room, water pouring in the after room, water going into the batteries with chlorine gas, and of course with the fire and smoke. And so there we were on the bottom, and it was about 8:30 in the morning.
Chlorine gas.
Chlorine gas,
what's the
bad
problem
stuff.
with that?
Well, boy, that will burn your, cause you your eyes, and cause your gums to burn and bleed, and so it'll kill you.
And that was going on. People
Oh,
were
you
bleeding.
bet. All of that was going on, and so we started working on that boat, and we knew that we couldn't come up until nightfall. But we formed a bucket brigade and started taking water out, and we finally got one pump working. And finally, we got that boat light enough that we could actually come to the surface, blow it to the surface at 9 o'clock that night. And then we started working on the boat to see if we could get propulsion, whatever we could do. Could we get a message out? Our radios were knocked out. We run direct leads from the batteries down to the main motors and to the reduction gears. Got one screw to turn 10 times, got the other screw, it wouldn't turn at all. So we're laying out there in the middle of the ocean, just helpless. And when sunrise came, there came another plane, came over and dropped over us, and dropped a bomb and missed us, made another turn, but we got a gun in action, and we shot that pilot. Didn't kill him immediately. He was able to go ahead and land at Penang, which is a little island off the Malay Peninsula. He finally died, and then we had this destroyer start coming in on us. So the commanding officer called us to quarters and said, what do you guys want to do? Do you want to dive this boat again? We said, no, we have no propulsion. We can't dog the hatches down. We can't make it watertight. We can't do nothing.
Let's stop for your phone here.
We can't.
Start from where commander officer called you.
Yeah, called us to quarters, and we couldn't do anything, and we couldn't get the boat underway. There was nothing we could do. We were just helpless there. Destroyers bearing down on us, and he said, gentlemen, what do you want to do? Do you want to dive this boat again, or don't you? We said no, we'd be diving it to our death. So he said, well, we will abandon ship. So what we did is went down and beat up any type of equipment that they could finally dive on maybe and get their hands on, and we took all of our personnel records and all of our records and cryptographic records, and we put them in gunny sacks and weighted them down, and we threw them over the side and sunk them over the side. And then we jumped over the side and got in the water, and about 4 or 5 hours later that destroyer finally came alongside. We thought they were going to come alongside of us with all of us in the water out there and machine gun us, but they didn't. They threw down a cargo net, and we climbed up that cargo net and got aboard that destroyer, and that destroyer then took us into the, Penang.
Let me interrupt. When you are making that leap into the water, what's going through your mind?
You know, as I said and think about it now, it's a really scary thing, because what you are really doing is you are leaving your home behind. And then when you leaped in the water, you felt like what was going to happen is you were going to be machine gunned. And so it was kind of a scary feeling. But you know, that's what happens with young people. You know, I was just 18 years of age. And when you're 18 years of age, you really don't have that fear that a lot of people have. You're young, you're inexperienced. There is no fear there. It's gung-ho, you know what I mean? But it didn't take long to realize, hey, we're in a big war here.
How did you realize that?
I realized that the minute that we got aboard that destroyer. We were all sitting in a circle on that deck, and our commanding officer, and back in those days, they packaged cigarettes, C-stores they called them, in a can with a lid on it, and there were 50 cigarettes in that can. And he was a smoker, and he'd taken some of those cigarettes out and put his lighter in that can and put the lid on it and put it in his pocket. And as you probably know, people that smoke, they just do it unconsciously. They'll just reach for a cigarette and put it in their mouth and not think about it. Well, after we got aboard and I was all in a circle and guards around us on that destroyer, he reached in his pocket, pulled that tin out, took a cigarette out and his lighter and started to light it, and when he did, one of the Japanese guards hit him with the butt of a rifle and knocked him about 10 or 12 feet across that deck. And when that happened, I knew we were in for trouble.
I want to jump forward to your incarceration. Penang?
They took us into Penang to the Light Street Convent. And at the Light Street Convent, that was a Catholic girls' finishing school where the very wealthy sent their girls for finishing in college and school, like our own Radford or those schools that we used to have for the girls.
Yeah.
And the Japanese had closed down that school and took it over as their headquarters, and there they took us, and we were the only POWs in that school. And they then worked on us for 4 months, 24 hours a day, torturing us 24 hours a day. We went 90 days without a bite of food except one bowl of rice water without hardly a kernel of rice in it for 90 days, and they worked on us 24 hours a day. They wanted to know what the name of our submarine was. Where were we working from? Were we working out of Australia? Were we working out of Pearl Harbor? How many submarines was in our squadrons? Did we have a tender? What was the name of our submarine? What kind of torpedoes did we have? What was the make and mod of our torpedoes? How fast can this submarine dive? Is there any depth that you run at to avoid depth charge attack? All of that sort of thing, and they worked on you with bamboo splinters up your fingernails, with rods like pencils through your fingers, and so on and so forth. Hours after hours down on your knees with a board plane with a razor edge, holding your hands out with 2 coconuts like this, and then when your hands started to fall, beating you up and down in the back. And in addition to that, our crew was subjected to the water cure. We know something about the water cure. That's not nothing new with just Afghanistan and
waterboarding, we call it.
That's right, Afghanistan and Iraq. That's not nothing new. That's been going along a long time, and I guess the Japanese and the Chinese invented that many, many, many long years ago.
You experienced all this?
I did not experience the water cure all that much, but we had people on the crew that did experience a heavy dose of it.
And the bamboo shoots? And
that's right.
You got that?
I did for a fact, and the whole bit. So the point of the matter, I'm here to testify it to you, though, and proudly so, that not a member of our crew broke or gave aid or comfort to the enemy. Not one man.